Hi everybody, hobby prepper coming at you. I want to talk a little bit about our options as far as lighting goes. Lighting basically from fire, not lighting with a battery powered LED or anything like that. So I want to talk about a few of the different options that we have. The first option is candle power. Obviously candle power, you get the illumination of one candle, and these are pretty popular. I did modify this candle holder. It was designed to hold a larger candle like this, but with this type of candle you get a lot of waste. As the candle burns down, the flame is hidden by the wax and it doesn't give off as much light, and then you have all this wax that's wasted. So in my opinion, these are more decorative than anything. So I went to the dollar store and I found these. 6 count for $1. They burn completely, virtually no dripping, no smoke. They're really good. Bought one package, thought it was a good deal, so I went back and I bought 10 more packages. I thought, for $1 each, I'll go back and get more. And when I went back, they were completely sold out, and I haven't seen any since. And that was about 3 years ago. So I've seen them online for as much as $4 a pack. If you see these anywhere, cheap, buy them. They're good candles. Alright, so I modified this candle holder basically with a piece of angle iron and a little piece to hold conduit, and that holds the candle in place. So, like so, and like so, and there's many different styles, but that's what you get. 1 candle power for a lantern like that. It burns about 6 hours. Another option that we have is a kerosene lantern. Now this kerosene lantern, you wouldn't use it for illumination. This has the red globe. This was actually my grandfather's lantern that he used on the railroad. So this must have been, I'm assuming, some sort of signaling lantern. But it still works after all these years. It's kind of neat. Open it up, pull this out, and on this particular model, this is removable. You open this up, you unscrew it, and that's where you fill up the kerosene. And then you advance the wick a little bit, give it a light. A little bit lower, you don't want it smoking. Put the globe back on. Snap that back into place. I would say this is more decorative than anything on account that it is red. I don't plan on signaling anybody with that. If it didn't have the red globe, they say that these give off about 15 candle power. So 15 times the brightness of the candle burning back there. But with the red globe, pretty much just decorative. Alright, another option that we have, and I just picked this up, my Aladdin kerosene lamp. This is a little bit different than this type of lantern. This is a flat wick lantern. This has a round wick. But what really makes this different is the fact that this has a mantle. and this gives off a lot more light than a traditional wick lantern. It takes about 10 minutes for this to heat up. Once this is heated up, glowing hot, this will give off about 60 candle power. So that's pretty bright. So the mantle makes it brighter, but in my opinion the mantle is kind of a deficit too, because that's probably the most likely thing to break on this. They cost about $12 or $13 each, and they're, if you've ever used a mantle lantern before, you know that that's just basically ash. I mean, if you touch it, it'll disintegrate. So it's very bright. Once that gets heated up, it's about 60 candle power. Now, I bought this one. This is aluminum because I thought it looked good. Kind of matches my kitchen. I have stainless steel and nickel plated things in my kitchen. In hindsight, I should have got the glass, because then I can actually see the level of the fluid inside. As it is now, I have to open this up and look inside, and it's actually kind of hard to see because you're looking at something that's dark and the fluid is clear, so it's just harder to see. So in hindsight, I should have got a glass. And that just would have made it easier for filling up and for monitoring the level when you're using it. So I'll let that heat up for a little bit, and then we'll crank it up as time goes on here. I'll just let that be. Alright, another option is the Coleman style lantern that you have to pump up. It uses fuel like this, and depending on which one you get, they have single mantle or double mantle lanterns. Those are very bright. Those give off about 300 candle power per mantle. So if you get a double mantle lantern, it's going to give off about 600 candle power, which is very bright. My problem with these is you gotta continually pump them up, and they kind of give off a hissing sound. This one's actually very silent. There we go, it's starting to brighten up now. So this has kind of a hissing sound. Most people don't notice it, but a lantern like this is absolutely silent. The other option is essentially the same thing. A pressurized lantern, single or double mantle, that runs off of liquid propane. Again, 300 candle power to 600 candle power, depending on if you have a single or double mantle. Okay, so now we're up to full brightness with the Aladdin lamp. With the sun coming through the window here, can't really get a good idea of how bright it is, but trust me, this is a lot brighter than the other two options that I have here. A lot brighter. I wanted to talk a little bit about fuel. Kerosene is what these use. However, if you go to the store, it's going to say lamp oil. From my understanding, lamp oil is just a refined version of kerosene. It's just a very clean burning, low odor version of kerosene. There is another style of lamp oil that's paraffin, basically liquid candle wax. And that is said to be not as bright burning, and it tends to clog up the wicks, from my understanding. So I went with the kerosene-based lamp oil. I think the word oil is just left over from when lamps like this used to be run off of whale oil. kerosene replaced whale oil around 1850. When kerosene became available, it was more plentiful, cheaper, and cleaner burning than whale oil, so most people switched to that. So you could run it off of straight K1 kerosene if you wanted to. This has a definite smell to it. If you walk down the aisle of the hardware store where they have this, you can smell this stuff, and this is in a sealed container. You can smell it. What I went with is the lamp oil, which I bought at Walmart, but also I bought a few jugs of this product called Clean Heat, which is another version of kerosene, but it's refined down to remove sulfurs. So it's this and this smell almost identical. So I think they're very similar in nature. Aladdin, the company, recommends that they use their brand of lamp oil. Of course, it's probably the most expensive stuff out there. But so far I've only burned this, and it seems to be working just fine. So I've been happy with this. I'm going to experiment with the Clean Heat next. And if I run out of that, I'll probably use the kerosene, K1 kerosene, as a backup, last resort. I actually bought the kerosene and the Clean Heat for a kerosene heater that I bought, which I'll talk about in another video. And a couple other little odds and ends here. Kerosene in Britain is called paraffin. The word kerosene is derived from the Greek word meaning wax. But remember, in this country, probably in Britain too, you can get the liquid paraffin. So the terminology is a little bit confusing, and to call it, you know, an oil lamp, that's confusing too, because it really runs off of kerosene. So some of the terminology that they use is a little bit confusing. A couple more things about the Aladdin lamp. These give off a lot of heat, tremendous amount of heat, 2,000 to 2,500 BTUs. So this gives off a lot of heat. They say you should have about 3 feet of clearance between the top of the chimney and your ceiling, which, I mean, if I kept my hand right there, I'd burn my hand eventually. It really gives off a lot of heat. Be very careful with these. Any fire-based lighting instrument, you want to be very careful with. Look up the story of Mrs. O'Leary's cow if you don't believe that there is a potential for them to be dangerous. I like to keep a fire extinguisher nearby when I'm using these. To extinguish this, just turn down the flame. Turn it all the way down. Cup your hand behind it. And it goes out just like that. The only time you really smell this is when you blow it out. It's like blowing out a candle. A little bit of smoke comes off the wick when you blow out the candle. Kind of the same thing here. That's the only time you really smell it. So I hope all this information helps.